Mind your own beeswax. Hey, counting up. Lean back. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mind Your Own Beeswax. My name is Grace and this is the podcast where I give you all of my hot tips, my hot takes, and absolutely no bullshit. We are keeping it real, peoples. How is your week been? How are you going? Where are you at right now? Do you need to just pause for a moment? Take a deep breath. Let's just spend the next 10 or 15 minutes together. Thank you for making time to listen to me and hear what I've got to say today. I want to share a little update. I am feeling very inspired. This is the second quarter of the year. I am excited to get after my goals, and my number one goal is getting 1,000 episodes. Not 1,000 episodes, imagine 1,000 downloads on this podcast. So I'm working hard. I've been sitting here for the last few hours. I'm like inspired to manifest again. I feel like I haven't done manifesting in a little while. So I'm like, yes, let's manifest our whole life. Let's manifest to 1,000 downloads. So I'm mapping out April, May, June. We're going to get to 1,000 downloads, people. And if you're interested to know what are the things that I'm doing to help manifest my 1,000 downloads, well, I've written a couple of things here in my journal that just kind of like spoke to me. And I was like, yes, bitch, let's go after it. So number one is I just want to focus on what I want. So focusing on those 1,000 downloads, checking my downloads, checking my stats. I'm going to put 1,000 downloads on my vision board. I'm just going to focus on it and direct my attention towards that goal. I'm also going to work on becoming the version of myself that has 1,000 downloads. So someone with 1,000 downloads, they're consistent with their podcasting, they're consistent with their socials, and they're publishing good content. I'm really trying to embody that phrase from Atomic Habits, where it's not about focusing on your goal, it's about focusing on who the kind of person is that achieves that goal. So what are they doing? What are they saying? How are they acting? What are their habits? Just becoming that bitch, you know? The other thing that I'm doing to manifest is to make space. So, you know, a podcaster makes space to podcast. You know, I have time in my schedule to podcast. I have time in my schedule to make social posts. So I'm trying to map out my weeks and have like a dedicated night or a dedicated afternoon where I work on my podcast. And it's kind of like a shift, you know, I've got to turn up, I've got to do my job. Log in, log out. So that's what I'm trying to do is like allocate time to really work on it. So I'm hoping by like thinking about it, visualizing it, bringing that goal to front of mind, acting as if I am that bitch who already has 1,000 downloads and making space and time for it. Those are the kind of things that I'm doing to help manifest. Now, it's nothing crazy, but that's what I'm doing. That is the delusional state I am living in. I also just like saged my office. I saged my laptop and my microphone. So I've like warded off any bad vibes. So that's always going to help. And then I did a little tarot reading. I sort of like asked my tarot deck. I was like, the next 3 months, I want 1,000 downloads. Like, what do I need to know? And it was really nice. I got the card 3 of Wands, which it says is for good fortune. Hello, we love that. And then it says communication and self-expression. Let others see what I have to offer rather than what I think they want to hear. And I was like, oh, tarot cards, you nailed that. Good fortune is coming my way. Communication and self-expression, just be myself. So that is what I'm working on. Being authentic, speaking my truth, and hopefully, before you know it, June 2026 will be at 1,000 downloads. Woohoo! Today, I wanted to talk about a beautiful concept of generosity. I think there's a lot of shit, honestly. There's a lot of shit happening in the world right now. It is a scary place to be. And I feel like every time I open social media, there's like a reel or a post, and it's just depresso espresso, you know? Yes, there's serious things happening in the world. Yes, it is a very scary time. But I think it can just like leave us feeling so upset, emotional. It can be really taxing on our energy. So I'm trying to like just shut that door, focus on the positives, focus on what I can. And this really inspired me to share with you generosity today. Now, generosity is a concept I came across in the book Make Money Easy by Lewis Howell. And this was a money book, and I had bought it with the intention to do some money manifesting or money work. I wasn't expecting to read about generosity in this book. And I've read a few money books in the past, and I've listened to some podcasts about money and manifesting money, kind of a bit more of a spiritual perspective on making extra cash. And no one had ever really covered the topic of generosity in terms of making money. So this really took me by surprise. And in the book, Lewis talks about early on in his career, he had this business. I don't really get it, but I think he was like running people's LinkedIn pages or doing something for people on LinkedIn. And he talks about how he went to this conference and he connected with a whole bunch of people and he said, "Let me do your LinkedIn page for free." And so I think he had 3 people that took him up on his offer. And from those 3 people, he did the work. And then it kind of just like built connections and it escalated. And he ended up making like $100,000 over 3 months or something insane. But the whole point was that he was generous and he offered something for free. And because he did that, it snowballed and he became really successful and made a lot of money out of it. And this is kind of what the whole chapter of the book is about, is that when you're generous, it opens up opportunities. And then when you have opportunities, good things happen. When good things happen, you can be more generous with your time. And it's kind of like this loop of generosity, opportunity, generosity, opportunity. It was just such a nice read. So not what I expected. And so it kind of just like really stuck with me. And I feel like I was really touched by this chapter. Now, time passed, I finished the book and I didn't really like do anything with the learnings from the book. But I was on my way to work one morning and I stopped in at the shops and I thought, oh, I'll get some lollies to take into the office. Fill up the lolly jar, make the gals happy. And so I was standing at the register and I'd like got 3 packets of lollies and it came to $15, which I sort of was like, hang on, $15. I thought this was going to be like a little $5 investment. $15 seems a little bit steep for some lollies, but I thought to myself, Grace, be generous. So I was like, yeah, whatever, shut up and take my money. Off I popped to work, filled up the lolly jar, went about my day. And then about 30 minutes into the day, one of my friends comes up and she's like, here, Grace, this is a little pin for your lanyard that I got you. And it's so cute. It's a little Shrek and it says, I can't today, I'm swamped. And I love it. So, so cute and so kind of her to buy me that. 5 minutes later, another friend comes up to me and she's like, Grace, I've got this bottle of vitamins. I've had one. I didn't like it. Would you like it? It was like a $40 bottle of vitamins, like totally unused. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Do you want some money? And she's like, no, no, no. All good. It's yours. You take it. And I was like, oh, that is so kind. Thank you. And then it hit me and I was like, hang on. I was generous. And then I've been given a beautiful pin and I've been given a beautiful bottle of vitamins. Is this the generosity working? Have I been generous? Opportunity has opened up and it's come back to me. That day is just like ingrained in my mind. Like, I just like love, this is like the thing that I love about self-help and personal development and spirituality work is when you do it and then shit happens. It is so magic. And like a bottle of vitamins in a pin, it ain't nothing crazy. But let me tell you, I think I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life. It works. Being generous opens up amazing opportunities for you. And maybe you're thinking, isn't this just karma? You know, what you put out comes back to you. Totally, totally that could be karma. But I'm telling you, if you be generous, watch good things happen. Being generous is more than just being generous with your money. And I know we're in a bit of a cost of living crisis. The world is falling apart. People have less cash than ever. You can be generous in so many ways that don't cost you any money. A great example that comes to my mind is when we first moved house, our lovely neighbours would always mow the front of their lawn and they would whiz over and sort of like mow our lawn too. And it was so nice and we were always so touched by it and thought like, how lovely are these people that they like will mow our lawn? And so we would reciprocate. We would, when we mowed, whiz over and mow the front of their lawn. And it kind of just like allowed us to connect and realize that we had nice people living next door and we sort of built a bit of a friendship. And I just like, for me, it like made me feel nice and safe. You know, if anything ever happened, if I was ever alone in the house, I felt like I could run next door and, you know, the neighbors are nice enough. And that all just came from an act of generosity. They were generous with their time, and they were generous with their, like, with the items in their home, their lawnmower. And that allowed us to connect. And that's the key, is that being generous, it can open up that opportunity. And it was just a friendship, and you never know where that could lead to. So can you be generous with your time? Do you have a neighbor that you can help out? Do you have a family member that you can help out, or a friend that you can help out with your time? Maybe you've got a friend that's got heaps of kids and their house is just chaotic. Like, can you pop over and unload the dishwasher or pop on a load of washing? That doesn't cost you anything. It just costs you your time. Another one that I love to do is I really like cooking. And so for me, cooking for people is something that brings me a lot of joy. So it doesn't cost me a lot of money. It just costs my time, some flour, some eggs in my pantry, which, they cost, well, they cost a lot actually, cost of living, but it's my time and my skill. Like, I love when I go and see a friend or a family member and I can, like, take over a slice or a dip or something that I've made. And that's me being generous with my time, and it allows us to sort of have that moment of bonding over food. And that's great. Generosity then is creating connection. Something I have done a couple of times in the past is, I feel like you see it on TikTok, like people paying for the car behind them in the drive-through. And I've done this twice at a drive-through coffee shop. And tell me why it is so terrifying. Like, when you pay, you're like, oh, can I actually pay for the person behind me? And I think it's just like the anxiety of, like, throwing off the person that's working, and, like, are they going to judge me? Are they going to think I'm like a TikToker? Like, I know. I don't know why I overthink it, but it's a lovely thing to do. And both times I did it and I, like, looked at the car behind me and it was like some random person. And I mean, thankfully their coffee order was only like $7. It wasn't like a family of four all getting brekkie and it was going to cost me $50. But I just did it and I drove off and I was like, oh, I'm putting my generosity out into the world. I hope that person has a good day. And I kind of just, like, channeled that energy at the person. Like, I was like, I hope they have a great day. I think I did it on a Friday, which, like, happy Friday, like a free coffee. How bloody nice. But like I said, you don't have to be generous with money. You don't have to pay for someone's food. You can be generous with your time. You can be generous with your home. Maybe you have a pool and it's summer and it's hot. So, like, can you invite people over to come and swim at your pool? It doesn't cost anything, but it is so generous. You can be generous with things like a smile, like someone walking past you in the street. Give them a smile. That is a gesture of kindness and love towards another person. I was walking down the street in the city the other day and this lady coming towards me sneezed. And I didn't even think about it, but I just said, bless you. And she, like, burst into a fit of laughter. She was like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, thank you for saying that. Like, you totally didn't have to. And, like, I was laughing and she was laughing. And it was just, like, nice. Like, it was just sort of like a gesture of kindness in her direction. And it brought her joy. For all I know, she was having a shitty day. The vibes were off. And that one little comment just brought her some joy. That was me being generous with my time and my word. But it took me, no effort at all. Can you give someone a nice compliment? Say, thank you for doing something, or I appreciate you, or if you work with someone, be like, hey, you did a great job at this, or that email you sent was beautiful, or the customer that you just served, that was fantastic, great customer service. Give someone a compliment. That is being generous with your time, being generous with your word, and that's going to make that person feel really, really nice. Can you be generous with your skills? If you have a certain skill, can you spend time with people in your workplace that perhaps don't have that skill? Who can you teach? Do people want to learn from you? You never know, someone that you teach down the track might become a big dog at another company that you apply for a job and they hire you and they're like, yes, 10 years ago, you taught me how to do an Excel formula and that changed my life. Maybe not change your life, but someone once taught me how to, like, lock the top row on Excel. Every time I do that, I think of that person. I'm like, thank fuck they taught me how to do that. Like, what is it? View, freeze row. Whoever taught me that, you are an absolute queen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, And I'll always respect that person. So you never know when you teach somebody, down the road, you never know where that connection might lead you. This is the whole point of the book, is that when you are generous with your time, your energy, your money, your skills, your home, whatever it may be, it is going to open the door for opportunity and connection with other people. You never know where that act of generosity is going to open up a door for you. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might be 10 years from now. You never ever know. So how can you be generous today? I challenge you over the next week, can you do something generous? And it doesn't have to be with your money. Can you give someone a compliment? Can you teach somebody something? Could you mow your neighbour's front lawn? Could you take your neighbour's bins out? Could you cook a meal for a friend that is in need right now? Whatever it is, I challenge you, try and be generous and see what happens. And I feel like I've got to throw my 2 cents in here that if you want to be generous, an easy way you can be generous right now, jump in and give me a like on social media, give me a review on my podcast. That support goes a long way, and that generosity, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just your time. It would mean the world to me. Give the podcast some love. Give us a like or a follow. Throw it up on your stories. Share it with your mum. Share it with your friends. Share it with your nan. Anyone who's got 2 ears, send them my podcast. And that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope today's episode encourages you to be generous. And feel free to DM me if you do something generous and something amazing happens. Let me know. I am going to challenge myself to be brave. And I think at the coffee drive-through next time, I'm going to try and pay for the car behind me again, because why not? As always, I hope this episode finds you at a time you need it the most. Have a beautiful day. Love you. Bye.
Mind your own beeswax.